Summer of Sam is a 1999 film directed by Spike Lee. This is written by Victor Colicchio, Michael Imperioli, and Spike Lee, and we have a cast including John Leguizamo, Adrien Brody, Mira Sorvino. We have Bebe Neuwirth. It's because of Bebe Neuwirth that I became aware of this. I read the description. I thought that sounds really interesting. And then I watched it and I absolutely hated it. And the main reason for that is that I kind of hated the characters. I really did not like them. But also the events in the film, for me, based on personal preference, are very boring. So some people might enjoy this. It's not to my taste. But it sounded like it was going to be. It's against the backdrop of the events in 1977. This is the serial murders by Son of Sam, also called David Berkowitz. And I love films about true crime. I think they're fascinating. They're always interesting to see depictions of certain real events. And I was really looking forward to it. And honestly, it's terrible. If you're looking for a film about Son of Sam, this is not that film. It's basically about other characters' events or other characters' activities at the time and their interactions with each other. It's basically an hour and it's about 2 hours. In fact, I think it's over 2 hours of just people in the 70s having sex. And that's pretty much all that happens. The narrative is so dull. The characters are so boring. It was quite a strong start, actually. It was quite a murderous beginning. And I thought, okay, this is getting off to a strong start. They're not going to sugarcoat anything, which, to be fair, they don't sugarcoat anything. But the direction it took after about 20 minutes was just so boring. And the characters that it focuses on are fictional. This is from Wikipedia, so it's based on the true events of David Berkowitz or Son of Sam. But the characters it focuses on are fictional, which I don't have a problem with. But it's basically about the time period through their eyes. And I don't care about their eyes. I think the characters are very unlikable. And I do not care for them. And therefore, I wasn't enjoying any of the narrative. So unless you want to see some punk fashion and people having sex for 2 hours, kind of against the backdrop of Son of Sam, I don't think it has anything to offer. It's not a good film. If you're particularly interested in this time period, then maybe you'll like it, but I still think it's way longer by about an hour than it needs to be. The characters are not likable. The performances are fine with the material that the actors had to work with. Bebe Neuwirth, even she couldn't save it for me. That's not to say I didn't like the moments when she was on screen, but I kind of didn't. I didn't at all. I didn't even like her character. So that's saying something, because as usually I'm very biased towards Bebe Neuwirth's characters, but even that wasn't enough to save this for me. I didn't care for it, but I don't think it's just personal preference. I think it's a very messy narrative. It's completely all over the place. It needs a lot of work to be a watchable film. And unfortunately, I pretty much hated every second of it. Very, very disappointing. That's not true. The beginning was quite strong. As I said, it was quite a strong opening, and I thought it was going to be a really interesting film, and it's just a mess. Maybe it will appeal to some people, but I think it's pretty terrible. Way longer than it needs to be. The script, well, the story itself needs a lot of work. It definitely feels like a passion project, and unfortunately, when films are passion projects, I'm not saying it is, I'm just saying it feels like a passion project. And when a film is a passion project, people working on the film can sometimes lose sight of what makes it a good film, and they just want to make what they want. And I'm speaking as a writer, I know what that feels like, to have to try and separate what I love with what works for the narrative and what works for the creation itself. And unfortunately, it doesn't work. So do I recommend it? Not in the slightest, unless maybe you're very, very, very interested in this time period, and maybe you already know a lot about Son of Sam, you're interested in meeting these fictional characters, and you're interested in punk fashion and punk music, and you want to watch people having sex for 2 hours. Nothing against sex in films, if it's relevant. If it moves the narrative forward, or if it allows us to connect with the characters more intimately, or if it develops character relationships. But sex for sex's sake, just to be, I guess, to try and be sensational, it doesn't work. There's no point to it, and it's just an absolutely terrible film. Summer of Sam started off strong, but then it very quickly fell into a chaotic mess, and I don't think it's a good film, and I don't recommend it.